Welcome back to the kitchen, where very shortly Helen Jackson is going to be making a chocolate saucy bread pudding thing.
And it's really good. It's really saucy and it's really chocolatey.
But before we get into that, your pie is out of the oven and is smelling amazing.
It is.
The room is full of pie smells right now.
Now, I will carefully, I must say this is completely fresh out of the oven.
Oh,
so
wow.
it is, it's hot, and I'm going to attempt to make a little cut into it just so we can see inside. But actually, a little trick here, when all else fails, use scissors to cut pastry, because then you can keep it looking nice and even.
Tip.
But it is fresh out of the oven, and you should always let them rest for probably a good 15 minutes when it comes out of the oven, or even longer. But we'll just see, because...
Now, you used the sour cream instead of the creme fraiche,
yeah,
is that right, this morning?
I did.
Yep.
Do you know
How
what?
you think
That
it's
is
gonna
really
hold up?
hot. Beautiful, but it is really hot.
We'll leave that for a little bit longer then.
We're going to let it sit for a bit longer.
Let's move on to dessert.
On to our chocolate saucy pudding. Here I have heated cream and milk until it's just hitting the boil, really.
Yeah.
Sugar into that, and ordinarily you'd put your sugar in right at the start, but if I did everything before the cameras came on, there'd be nothing left to do, would
We
there?
do have to talk through the recipe,
We do have to talk. So we've got half a cup of sugar in there, and I'm just going to stir to dissolve that. Then you turn the heat completely off, because that's going to dissolve in there quite nicely.
Okay.
And we're going to bring in dark chocolate. Now, even if you're not really a dark chocolate lover, I do urge you to use dark, because, as opposed to milk, because by the time you've weakened it down with the chocolate and the cream, it's not going to end up too rich at all.
So if you find dark chocolate a bit too much, go with it anyway.
Yeah, go with it.
Your
You're going to be fine.
Okay.
So I'm just going to break that into here. And that's off the heat. I've turned the heat off completely.
Yep.
But the heat from the milk and the cream is just going to melt the chocolate gently. And the thing is with chocolate, obviously, is it can be tricky to melt. Make sure if you're doing it on its own, you do it in a double boiler over a simmering heat, not boiling, in the microwave on reduced heat. But as soon as it gets too hot, you know, it does that. It all seizes up, and then there's no rescuing it when it gets to that.
Well, you don't want that.
So no, you don't. You don't. And you got a potato cooking tip this morning.
I was very interested in that tip. I've never had luck with boiling potatoes. I mean, you know, it's potatoes. You get them boiled in the end. But it takes forever when I do it, so I end up just chopping them up tiny. And you were saying that makes them a little bit too...
Well, it can make them a bit watery, but the thing is with potatoes is they do need to go into cold water to start with, and all root vegetables do, because otherwise, if you drop them into hot water, you immediately get a protection layer around forming.
Just kind of freak
I don't really know the proper science to it, but yes, let's say they freak out. Potatoes freak out.
Potato freaks.
And then the water doesn't penetrate through, so the heat doesn't penetrate in.
Okay.
So they take a lot longer to cook. They can take almost forever to cook.
I normally cook about once every 6 months, so any time now I'm going to be using that tip.
Excellent.
For good use.
Okay, bread pudding. This is as easy can be. As you can see, there's few ingredients. It's a very quick dish to make. What I've done, now here I've got this really interesting bread, and it's called scone toast.
Scone toast? It's
scone toast, so it's not really like bread. It's more like a scone. It's sweet, and it's been made, but it's made like a bread, but it's more like a scone in texture.
Okay.
And the reason I'm using that is, and I've used a whole loaf, all I've done is trimmed off the edges.
So we're not going to be putting hairs on anyone's chest today? No crusts?
No.
Isn't that what your dad always told you?
Yeah, exactly.
Eat your crusts, put hairs on your chest.
Exactly, but I think one of your guests coming up, Geordie, they don't have any hairs on their chest, do they?
Jay never has crusts.
No, so that's his tip. He will not be wanting crust.
It's not the wax, it's just he never has crusts.
You've got it. Okay, so I've lined it with that. Now, the reason, as I was about to say, that we're using the golden scone toast is that it absorbs the custard mixture, and essentially when you make something with hot cream and milk and then egg yolks, it is a custard, and if you cooked it over a heat for long enough, you end up with a custard that you can serve, a lovely chocolate custard. But the thing with the scone toast is it absorbs it really quickly. You know, like bread and butter pudding, sometimes when you make it, you'll have crusty bits of bread which you may like or may not. But with this, it absorbs the chocolate really quickly, and then it goes to a lovely mousse-like texture. But my kids said to me, Mum, this is like eating hot chocolate mousse.
That's a pretty good description. That's something that I'm very interested in.
Okay, so 4 egg yolks in here. Now, ordinarily, you'd let your custard cool down quite a bit before you go and mix the hot cream in with the egg. And you'd never do it the other way round. And reason being that as soon as the egg yolks get too hot, they're going to cook, and you could end up with a scrambled egg instead of a custard.
That chocolate has melted really quickly.
Yeah, it has melted quickly. And we've still got some some little streaks in there, and the more you stir that, the more it's going to just all come together and make a smooth, smooth chocolatey custard mixture.
All right.
But
so for television purposes, even though it's warm, we're still going to go for it.
Yeah, we are, because what I'm going to do
it
is I'm just going to put a little bit in at a time, so we're going to get the temperature coming. You're sort of getting even, so we're warming up the egg yolks, but we obviously don't want to cook them.
Not blasting them.
No. Now, other flavours that go really well in bread and butter puddings, obviously, like, people put raisins and currants and things like that.
Yeah.
And another good thing to do is you can pan-fry, like, sauté apples or pears.
Nice.
Put them in butter, cook them off so you get a really lovely caramelising, and then layer them in the bread and butter pudding. I've used, as I said, the scone toast, but the other thing you can do is use croissants.
Oh, beautiful.
Croissants are really good.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm thinking dinner parties here for my flat. I'm wondering what would happen with a little splash of brandy in this recipe.
A little splash of brandy. It will be really, really
Spice
good.
it up a little bit.
The other thing is, you know how rum goes really well with chocolate?
Yeah.
So you could put a splash of rum in as opposed to brandy, and then, or make it even better, you could do rum-soaked raisins.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
So what I would do with that is I would, and we've still got a little bit of chocolate solid in there, if I was going to do it that way, what I'd do is I'd heat up your rum in a small saucepan with your raisins in there, probably a little bit of sugar in there as well to make it a little bit syrupy, and then cool it down again so you've got really lovely squelchy rum-soaked raisins.
That sounds amazing.
And then put in your bread and then your rum-soaked raisins, then pour over your chocolate.
Have we just invented a new recipe here, Helen?
Yeah, we have. We have.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay, now, this is going to be slightly messy because I've got nothing pouring. Okay, now, if you're making this with bread as opposed to scone toast, what I would do is pour this over and then leave it to sit, and perhaps with something pressing down on top of it for a good half hour or so before you cook it. The reason you do that is so you end up with the bread absorbing all of the custard. However, with the scone toast, it soaks it up really quickly, so you don't have to do it. So you can see how easy this is.
This is something I can actually do.
Yeah, and you wait till you try it. Honestly, it does end up like hot chocolate mousse. It's beautiful.
Your kids must absolutely love it.
I reckon you'd still manage to stuff that up.
You reckon I can?
Yeah, I still reckon you would.
Such little faith, Jeanette.
If you only cook once every 6 months, it's not looking good.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually, let's be honest.
Righto, so I'm just poking that in a bit so you are going to absorb, the bread is going to absorb the chocolate.
Yep.
So even don't be afraid to use fingers, just press down on it, make sure all the bread goes nice and squishy, and then it's into the oven for about half an hour.
This looks like, I mean, school holidays are just finished, but this looks like the kids would be absolutely going nuts over this one.
But do you know what? Also, winter dinner party. It doesn't even have to be the kids. Adults love it.
Adults love it. Here we go. If you want to love it as well, all you need is the bread, milk, cream, sugar, dark chocolate, and eggs. Is that the easiest thing in the world or what? Just the eggs as well. Beautiful looking recipe. And this is smelling amazing. I'm looking forward to hanging around for a little bit longer and trying this out later in the day. Helen, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, coming out very soon, we've got New Zealand Veggie Dish Challenge winner, Jenu Abraham. He's in with the tasty tofu that won in that competition. And you got some GM chats over here for us, Jeanette?
I do. It's just one of the perks of the job, isn't it, when you get to munch on all the yummy food.
No complaints from me.
Our GM chat this morning's all about your